Okay. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Talks with the Lady. I am your host, Lashana Lady Brown, and it has been a long few weeks. Very, very long few weeks. And I wanted to come on tonight. We do have a guest tonight that we are going to meet. I'm very, very excited. So for the last couple weeks, let me just kind of reiterate on what has been going on. Um, I started a new job and I have been so busy. I'm talking about the training, um, the just getting out. Okay, I have went back to transit operator with the city of Gainesville. Um, and when I tell you all, it has been an experience. I am delighted to be back there. Prior to that, I kept myself really, really busy. And Talks with the Lady was part of what I would call my full-time commitment. Okay. It was a full-time commitment. Um, Hold on, I'm here typing some things. I missed you all. I miss interacting with you all. Um, it's definitely been a whirlwind. I'm talking about with everything whirlwind. Then helping out other people. Um, Not having enough time to do the stuff that I really needed to do or that I wanted to do. I am backed up with interviews that I've had to postpone um, over, oh God, the next 3 weeks. Um, Talks with the Lady After Dark was supposed to start on this Saturday, and I am actually working on getting that going. So, nonetheless, it's going to happen. It's just that I've been really, really busy at work. And then coming back, now I have to kind of, pull this into my schedule in the afternoons because I do get off at 4. By the time I do that, I have sessions that I have set up with individuals that are going to be interviewed on Talks with the Lady podcast. So we are scheduling them out. I thank you for your patience for those that have been questioning, inboxing, texting, or whatever about Talks with the Lady podcast. This is my baby. I do plan to continue it and it's not going to stop. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and bring on my interviewee for this evening. I have Mr. Mark Kemp that I am bringing to the stage. I'm pretty sure that you are going to enjoy him. Just listen to him and, take in what he has to. This is a very new topic. A lot of people are not familiar with it, but I would like for you to just listen to him and get his perspective on what it is that he wants to talk about. All right, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Mr. Mark Kemp. All right.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Mr. Kemp.
Hi. How are you?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Good to see you again. I'm blessed
I
also.
know it is. So how have you been doing?
I've been good. Ooh, it's been some up and down moments. I
Yes.
became an empty nester since we last talked, and
Really?
it's an interesting phenomenon. It's very interesting. There's a part of you that you're glad to see them go off into their new adventures, but you still see that little child during those most precious moments.
Right. That is a blessing. I have three that have left my home. Soon to be four, to be,
Mm,
going off into the world. So I know how it is when it's just like, okay, now I really don't have anyone. Before I had a whole house full, but
yes.
now, yes, I'm getting to the point. It's like now it's like, and then we worry a lot more when they're outside of the house. So
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. Yes. So again, it's a pleasure to have you on this evening. It was a pleasure speaking with you during our introductory meeting. So our topic for tonight is hypnotism. Very interesting.
Yes.
I,
Yeah.
I, I never knew that I would be as interested. I mean, it did seem interesting when we spoke, and I was like, I would like to learn a little bit more about that. So, without further ado, again, you guys, this is Mr. Mark Kemp. He is going to introduce himself. He's going to share with us what it is that he does, how he has gotten to where he is today, and he's going to share his story on hypnotism. All right, you have the stage, Mr. Mark.
Okay. Well, again, hello everyone. My name is Mark Kemp. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and I'm going to speak to you tonight about hypnosis. And we're going to just knock out a whole bunch of misconceptions. And by the end of the show, I'm going to be able to, illustrate to you just how hypnosis is a part of our everyday lives, and we don't even realize it. Okay. And first, we're going to start with my journey. I have to let the audience know, as a back note, that I am physically challenged. I have cerebral palsy. Now, I'm also a licensed optician. I sell eyeglasses for a living. And, during the course of my duties there, I spend, 8 to 10 hours a day on my feet. Now, previous to the pandemic, all the rage was about the opioid crisis. How people were getting addicted to many of the pills that Western medicine likes to really push out to the forefront. And during that time, I was doing a lot of hours as an optician, 10, 12 hours a day, and I sought ways to alleviate my pain. And I didn't want to get hooked on the painkillers that Western medicine so often prescribes. And again, let me just say for the record, I'm not against Western medicine, not at all. That's not what this is about. I'm just telling you my journey. So, I'm spending all these hours on my feet, and I'm in a certain level of pain. I love my profession as an optician, and I'm like, man, I'm not going to be able to continue if it goes at this rate. So one day I was talking with a friend of mine, and they had mentioned hypnosis. And like most people, I dismissed it. I'm like, oh, that's just for the movies. It's not real, and if it is real, I don't want any parts of that. Yeah,
Right.
but then on another occasion, I was on YouTube, and it came across my feed, hypnosis for pain management. I'm like, wow, are you serious? So I tried it, and it did not work the very first time I tried. You know, but what it did was it spawned a curiosity in me. So I began to look and look and look and try files. And then one day I eventually found one that did work.
Okay.
And I was able to bring my pain from like saying 8 or 9 all the way down to like a 1 or 2. And let me just say, you should never really eliminate pain from your body, because that's your body's alarm system saying, hey, something's not right.
Hmm.
So you don't want to totally eliminate it. So anyway, I used that for a while. And then, as with most things in life, when you are blessed with something, you have to share that blessing with the world, because if you don't, that blessing may be blocked. So, after a while, after about a year or so, I decided to learn the science and share its powers with others. Now, hypnosis itself does not cure anything, but what it can be is an awesome assistant in helping you, treat whatever modality when it's applicable to it. You still have to put the work in. And just for the record also, I'm a proponent of all therapy. You know,
Right.
I believe that all therapy is good therapy as long as it doesn't hurt you and it doesn't hurt someone else, and it helps you release whatever's within your body or within your mind that's causing that angst, that's making you uncomfortable, that's causing strife. Then you know what? Do it, because the cost of holding something in like that could be detrimental.
Okay. Now, I did have if I'm okay to I want to ask you something right here.
Sure.
Now, I used to think of hypnotism as being like in a daze, like outside of your normal body. So, is that really what the true definition? Because I know when we spoke, you were saying that we are hypnotized even when we don't know it. Like it doesn't take for someone to like for you to put someone under like anesthesia or whatever, you know. But we actually experience hypnotism from day to day. Is it solely just can you explain to the audience that it's not solely just um being hypnotized, but what other correlation can we give as far as being hypnotized? I know we spoke about that briefly.
Awesome question. Awesome question. You know, people experience hypnosis or trance like on a daily basis and they don't even realize it. You know, I'm going to give you a few examples. Like, have you ever read a book and you could see the scene in your head? That's a form of hypnosis. If you can read a book and see the scene in your head, that's a form of hypnosis. Have you ever smelled something cooking and instantly become hungry? Yeah, you were hypnotized by the smell. Okay. Another
Mm.
thing, have you ever watched a tearjerker of a movie and you start to cry, or it brings forth some type of emotion or hysterical laughter? You were hypnotized by the words or the actions of the actors and actresses, because we all know that they're just playing fictional characters, or
So
it's a work of fiction. So hypnosis or trance-like states are part of your everyday life.
right. So I guess is it safe to say that hypnotism has a lot to do with our senses?
Yes, exactly. That's the point exactly. Anything connected with the five senses can be experienced in a hypnotic or trance-like state.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome question. That's a perfect illustration. You know, and
Okay.
just and if I could define it, I would say hypnosis itself, it's focused concentration in a relaxed state. Now, you don't necessarily always have to be relaxed to be in a hypnotic state. You know, have
Mm-hmm.
you ever driven? If there's some place that you go on a regular basis, have you ever
Mm-hmm.
driven there one day and all of a sudden you can't remember how you got there, but you were just there? If that's happened, we call that highway hypnosis, because at that point you're going on rote memory. See, the human thought process takes place on two levels:
Mm-hmm.
the conscious and the unconscious level. Now, the conscious thought takes up about 10% of your thought process, and your unconscious thought takes up about 90. But here's what's awesome: when we put you in a hypnotic state, we're bypassing your conscious thought and we're
Mm-hmm.
dealing directly with your subconscious.
Right.
But the human body is so amazing. That 10% of your conscious thought, that's where your moral code is and things of that nature. That protects your subconscious. So I can't say to you, go and commit a crime. Because if that goes against your moral code, what's going to happen? You're either going to come out of that hypnotic state or your body's just going to ignore it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And another big misconception, you're not going to reveal any deep, dark secrets when you're in a hypnotic state, unless you
Right.
want to.
Unless you actually want to.
Yes.
So it is it's a mental thing, and
Yeah.
okay, because see, I've always been scared of hypnosis because I'm like, I don't know what's gonna come out. I don't know. At what point during the hypnosis process are you not in control of your feelings? At what point?
You are
Or you're
always in control.
oh,
You are
you're always in
you are always in control. All that I'm doing is giving you suggestions. Now, in that state, you know, it bounces back and forth. When I give that suggestion, that although I'm communicating with the subconscious thought,
mm-hmm.
it still has to be run through your conscious thought. So again, if it's something that goes against your moral code or something that you normally would not do, your conscious thought is going to jump in and say, nope, we're not doing that. So
Mm,
so you are always in control, and you're always aware of what's going on.
Okay, it's a control process. Okay.
Yes.
Now,
And really, if you think about hypnosis, it's actually a collaboration between the hypnotist or the hypnotherapist and the person being hypnotized. So you have to feel comfortable enough to let go
mm,
and allow me or the other hypnotist to be in that space. And that's
okay,
part of the pre-talk. Just like we had a pre-talk before before we decided to come on. That's so that you could get comfortable with me and I could get comfortable with you and we could talk about the format.
right,
It's the same process. So when I'm going to hypnotize someone, the process is this. They contact me, and we have a pre-talk to determine what your goals are and what the issue is, and we go over what hypnosis is and what it isn't, and then from there, we set goals, and then a few days later, I'll contact you again, and we'll have that session, and then
right,
what's nice is after the session, we also have a post, hypnosis talk. That way, I make sure everything's good, that you're back and you're functioning, and also we talk about the session. So there's before care, then there's the session, then there's after care.
mm, okay. So I like that. It's more like you get a follow up as well.
Yes.
There is a follow up. Okay. Now, how many of these do you do in? Do you say in like a year? How many times do you put someone under?
That's hard to say. I have my busy season, and then I have my light season. I if I have a day of hypnosis scheduled, I wouldn't want to see more than 3 to 4 people in a day, because I want to have the time to devote to, you know spend the proper time with them, but also, I have to release whatever we talked about, whatever I helped you with. I have to release that from myself also.
Mm,
So I need time in between sessions to regroup and just let it go, and have myself open and available for the next person. Because the moment that you come on the screen with me, or the moment that I'm starting to work with you, I'm looking for clues in terms of what would be the best way to hypnotize you. What would be the best verbiage to use with you,
right.
based on our talks previously. For some people, I have to speak in a louder tone, but for
Mm,
other people's, I can speak in a softer tone. So
right.
the moment that I begin speaking to you, I'm already cataloging things in terms of what may or may not work.
Right. I know Exotic says that that would be draining for you. It seems as, because it takes a lot of energy.
Yes.
Uh, it seems like it would be draining. Like you really have to relax and just kind of regain your composure. Um, is it on a scale of 1 to 10? How severe do you think hypnosis is? And I'm not talking about like as far as the draining of it, like the energy that you have to put out or put into it. On a level of 1 to 10, how would you rate for the actual client or the patient and for in yourself?
Well, that's hard, because it depends on the patient, really, or the client that I'm working with, because there are some people that they're very suggestible. They're easy to take. They're easy to put in a hypnotic state, and
Mm-hmm.
the problem that they have, may not be as severe as others. Like if I'm dealing with someone who has insomnia, I can give you a post hypnotic suggestion that will help you sleep, so you don't have to take the Tylenol PM and the other over the counter drugs and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm dealing with someone that's going through a mental or emotional detox, that's draining, because they're releasing all those traumas or those things that may have bothered them in the past. So that's very, very draining. So it depends on the particular problem that or issue that they're bringing to the table, that we're going to work on and fix. Something like insomnia, that's light. That's a matter of figuring out why you can't sleep and giving you dealing with that trauma, then giving
Mm-hmm.
you a post hypnotic word that every time you said that word and you're in the right setting, your body will naturally get sleepy because that word has been implanted as something that will help you sleep. But again, if it's an emotional detox, it could be traumas from childhood, it could be traumas from adult, and when you want to release that thing, that often gets very, very emotional, and that's very draining. Because again, I'm going through the process with you,
Mm.
and I'm
Oh
guiding.
God, this is very interesting. I think that I would like to try a session only because I've had some trauma that I've experienced in my childhood, but a lot of trauma as well through adulthood, and I cope with it the best way that I can. My I think my biggest question would be is, can I heal from that? Because we have therapy, we have all these different solutions. We have counseling, therapy, we see doctors, there's medication. So I want to look at it like maybe hypnotism is a type of medication. Except for it's not like a drug, of course. It's more like a mind. It is pretty much stimulating your mind or your thought process.
Yeah,
Would I be correct about that? I mean, it's like a replacement to like a drug or alternative.
it's a therapy. What we're doing is we're reframing how you perceive it.
Okay.
Okay, like I'll give this example. If a person is afraid of spiders, and if that's what they're coming to me for, a fear of spiders, we're going to
Mm-hmm.
work on that trauma to see why it's there, and then we're going to reframe how you perceive that spider in your mind, so your mind won't perceive it as being as menacing as it once was. We're going to work on the trauma to get rid of the trauma, but we're also going to reframe how you see that spider, and how you perceive it at that point. So that spider that was once menacing, you'll see it as something friendly now.
Mm. Now, how far does hypnotism go back? What is the history of hypnotism?
Uh, hip, Hypnosis goes all the way back to Egyptian times. It was, they used to call them like sleep temples, where
Hmm.
they would have incense burning and music would be playing, and you would go into almost a meditative state. And the thing that's interesting is, hypnosis is like the kissing cousin of meditation.
Mm.
Because, and again, when you meditate, you're often in a relaxed state also. the
Right.
major the major difference between the two is, with meditation, you're going within to just relax and release in that manner. But with hypnosis, either guided by yourself in self-hypnosis, or by someone like myself, we're giving you suggestions to help you reach, whatever level of relaxation, or whatever level of trauma fixing that we're trying to get to, or whatever we're trying to alleviate. So
Right.
I'm guiding you to that point.
Okay. Now, are there different stages of hypnotism?
Yes.
Because that one is, I know, of course, I know it can go really deep because I've actually did a little bit of research, but I'm not a hypnotherapist. So the different stages of hypnotism or
Okay.
hypnotherapy,
You
you
know.
know, can you express or share with us a little bit more about that?
Okay. In terms of the actual number of stages, the number of stages, that has never really been determined. But
Mm.
when you think of hypnosis, when you're in the beta state, that's when you're awake and you're in your conscious thought. Then you go into the alpha stage. That's when you start to reach your subconscious. And then when you go into the theta stage, that's where we do a lot of the hypnotic work, and we do the deep therapy work. So when you reach that point of theta, then that's when, and that's always our goal when we want to do change work in the hypnotic state, is to get you to the state of theta.
Okay.
You know,
Now, and I can understand. Okay. And that would you have to conduct several sessions to get to different stages?
no, 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 not at all. it depends on how willing you are and how receptive you are to hypnosis, and how much you're number one willing to let go based on the rapport that we have established, and also if you're at threshold. Like a good example of that is smoking cessation.
Mm-hmm.
People often come to me because they want to quit smoking,
Right.
or vaping, and my first question is, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired of smoking? Because if you are not at that point of what we call threshold, that's where you're really sick and tired of being sick and tired of whatever the issue is. If you're not at threshold, then the chances of success are less, because you've got to really want to put the work in, especially with something as addictive as smoking and vaping can be. You've really got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of smoking to really have hypnosis, work and be effective. You
Okay.
know,
Now, comparing that, okay, we have the cognitive behavioral therapy, which
Mhm.
is just like talking it. Is what has there been studies proven that hypnosis is better than the cognitive approach, the cognitive therapy approach?
Again, that's an individual thing. That's an individual thing. You
Okay,
know, there are cases where hypnosis is very effective, and then there are other cases where it's not, and talk therapy works best. That really depends on the individual, and their motivations. Some things are so heinous that you deal with. Sometimes, if you talk about them, you can have what's called an abreaction, where you're actually reliving the trauma over. And
mm,
and that can also happen in hypnosis also.
that was
So
going to be my next question. If anything can go wrong with hypnosis, like have you experienced that where it went wrong or it became unsafe?
okay,
Have you ever experienced that?
I personally have not experienced that, thank God, and may I never. And that's everyone's wish that's doing any type of therapeutic work, that they never do anything wrong. But there are some people that should not be hypnotized, and
And what? Yeah.
those are people who are mentally challenged, because they may not understand the suggestions that you're giving them. Okay, then
Okay.
also individuals that have epilepsy, then also individuals who are bipolar, or diagnosed as schizophrenic, or if
Right.
they're in drug or alcohol, psychosis, or if they've been clinically diagnosed as depressed. Because if you've been clinically diagnosed as depressed, you're working with a therapist. So you want to we want to steer clear of that, and we don't want to interfere with that in any way. You know?
Mm. What about adults versus children?
Well,
Uh,
children are actually easier to hypnotize, because part of the hypnotic process is going into your subconscious, where your
mm,
imagination is. And also, like, people that are very creative, they are they're some of the easiest to hypnotize, because they use their imagination a lot.
okay.
So they're open and they're receptive to it.
Okay.
You know, people people who have ADHD, sometimes they're harder to hypnotize. It's not impossible, but they're harder because their brain, a lot of times their attention spans are short, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore they hop from place to place. In terms of their thought process.
Okay. Now, yeah, my daughter had experienced that as well. And it just seemed like, I don't know, counseling or therapy, just, more of the cognitive behavioral approach. It was not working for her. It is one of those things that she outgrew, and I don't know if it was a part of my subconscious or whatever, but I just kind of said, okay, this is the ordeal that she's dealing with. She's dealing with this here, this ADHD. She is having some issues with being still, being hyper, so on and so forth. So My thing was, and again, I don't know if this is my subconscious, but to have her engage in activities that kept her busy, kept her thought process going, like just rolling, rolling, rolling. I think that when we have an idle mind, I think that's more room for us to think beyond normal thoughts.
Mm,
That's where over exaggeration comes in,
mm.
and all of that. I'm not sure. What is your perspective on that?
Yeah, well, that is very true. And for someone with ADHD, the way that we would typically hypnotize them is to, you know, bombard them with a number of different things until there's like, okay, wait a minute, take a moment and relax, and then that's when we would, take them into that hypnotic state. So yeah, you know, the human mind is a beautiful machine. It really is. And
Right.
you know, one thing that sometimes we do in marginalized communities, is we stop imagining things in life too early. We stop dreaming. It's and sometimes as parents, because we're so concerned with the day to day and just making it and getting through the day, we
Right.
off we often sometimes, not intentionally, but we wind up stunting, our kids' dreams. Because I believe in one thing, and this is true. Imagination leads to innovation.
Mm-hmm.
If you think of many things that have been invented, it took one person to think and say, wow, how can this be better? It's that imaginative thought that leads to creativity. And so, if you've got, and this has nothing to do with hypnosis, but if you've got an idea,
Mm-hmm.
explore that thing. Take time to just let your mind be free for a moment, and
Mm-hmm.
just relax and think about things, you know.
Right. Right. Well, I definitely think that now I know a little bit more about hypnosis. I'm not sure. I would like to. I don't know if it would be best for me because we just spoke about this right here. We had a session about 2 weeks ago about mental health, and there are a lot of people that are experiencing mental health issues. I don't know, like you said, you're the hypnotherapist, so I take your word for it. But a lot of people that have mental issues, they're capable of doing certain things, but then they're incapable of doing other things. And I just think that sometimes therapy, counseling itself just isn't enough. So that is where people turn to other things like drugs, alcohol, so on and so forth. Maybe hypnotherapy would be a solution to that. But again, you say it's probably not a good idea because they extend their thoughts. So, um, are there any other solutions that you can provide? Because there will be others as well that are coming on. They're looking for it. See, right now people are looking at it because it's new. Hypnotherapy. Again, I have read up on a lot about hypnosis and everything, and it is fairly safe. Sometimes it's not, but again, you're the one that determines that. Would you make an attempt to put someone under hypnosis with any type of, maybe they're dealing with depression, as we stated, the bipolar is that something that you just are completely, against? You wouldn't try that? I mean, I'm not sure how science has, and if that's been something, of course, that has been um, tested or trial ran or so on and so forth. But is that something that you would make an attempt to do?
It's such an individual case, and
Okay.
that's where it's up to the competency of the hypnotherapist or the hypnotist to determine that. You know, you
Mhm.
know, I know some people who do have epilepsy, and they have been hypnotized, and they've done it safely.
Right.
I've worked with a few people who've had it, but I was very cautious. I took a number of precautions, on
Mm,
them all, and I was always checking on them. Are you okay? Are you still good? So it's an individual case, but the science says we should tend to stay away. But again, it's an individualized thing, and there's a difference between someone who is who has an issue and someone who is mentally challenged, like you know
mhm.
so although we say we don't want you to be clinically depressed, and we would tend not to work with you, but there are some cases where you know hypnosis has helped people with depression.
Right.
So it's an individual case. you know for me, I tend to err on the side of caution.
Hmm.
If you tell me you have
Okay.
if you tell me that you have those conditions which we would want to stay away from, I would say, well, maybe you need to speak to this type of professional or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
Like if someone comes to me for pain management, which is my baby because that's what got me into the field, my very first question is, have you seen a doctor?
Mm. Okay. So that's just a part of like how we did the interview. You
Yes.
interviewing them. And, okay. Now, is hypnosis better face to face, like as far as face to face interaction? Like we know it's one on one. Is it better face to face, or do you virtually hypnotize someone virtually?
Okay.
Which one, is there a difference in the two? Do you get
There
different?
there isn't a difference, and I'll tell you, that was one of the biggest issues, during COVID. Is like, okay, how are we going to see clients?
Mm-hmm.
And you need a very strong internet connection if you're going to do it virtually. Like, I would put something in place. If I'm going to hypnotize you virtually, I would say, you're going into a hypnotic state now. But if for some reason we lose internet connection, you will immediately come out of the trance-like state within 2 minutes.
Mm.
Yeah, and just for the record, you can't really get stuck in hypnosis, but that's just a safety precaution to put their mind at ease.
Okay.
So
Okay.
again, it's all about making the subject feel comfortable.
Right. Right. Okay. Now, and then my one of my last questions I did want to talk about are the myths. People have different myths about hypnosis. Um, can you share some of those with us? What are the people saying? What are they saying about this? Well, I'm
Here's
learning a lot about it.
Okay. Here's a big one. This does not go against anyone's religion.
Hmm.
It is simply a science. Okay, that's a misconception. It is simply a science, and I've illustrated ways in which you go into hypnotic states or trance-like states in everyday life.
Hmm.
I'm a very spiritual being. I will not allow anything or anyone to separate me from my creator. So I'm a very spiritual being. So I I I don't have a problem with it. Okay. Another
Okay.
misconception is number two. Although you'll see on TV where they'll say sleep, and the person will either fall backwards or their head will drop. You're not actually going to sleep. You're just in a very very relaxed state, and you're really open to suggestion at that point.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Number three, you're fully aware of what's going on. Okay. Again, you're not going to reveal any deep dark secrets. It isn't mind control. It's a collaboration between the hypnotist or hypnotherapist and the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it can work on so many different things if you're willing to put the work in.
Okay.
And unlike some other modalities or Western medicine, we seek to get to the root cause. It can help with so many different things. If someone, if they're having problems with, you know, again, physical problems, mental and emotional detox, insomnia, it can even help when, in some cases, with intimacy issues.
Mm. Okay.
It's been known to help with some forms of ED. It can help. It can help. If women or men are having problems reaching climax intimately, it can help with that. As we all know, the mind is the biggest, or sex organ in the body, or the
Right.
most influential. So, it can help in those areas.
Okay.
So it's.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. So I do thank you so much for expressing and sharing yet again what this is. Something that I've even been talking to my coworkers about, and I've been telling them, hey, I have this guy. He's coming on. He's telling us a little bit more. These are very interesting topics because these are topics that we don't hear about every day. A lot of people have their, like I said, their misconceptions. They have myths about, oh, this is what it is. Oh, well, that's the work of, the devil or the spells. They're putting you up under a spell. Like you have all of this, but I never quite understood it until you broke it down to me. And it does make sense now. So I do appreciate you coming on here, Mr. Mark, and sharing with me the process of hypnosis and how it applies to us in our everyday lives. I never really looked at it that way. But I do thank you for sharing that with me. I would also like to try to make an attempt. I would like to have a session
Okay.
in to get a session in as well.
Okay.
If it is okay, I would like to share. I'm pretty sure that you are on. Let me see if I can find here my. Let's see if you are on my. Ooh, no, you're. Oh, yes, you are. There you are. You're on here. Okay, so I am going to share your profile if that is okay.
That's more
And
than fine.
yes, and I would like to share with. I would have to do it from my phone. I don't know why but I would like to share your profile as well. And if you could just kind of type up like a small summary so that I can attach with that, because I think that a lot of people are going to go back and watch this anyways. And they're going to get a different perspective on what hypnosis is, how it works, and how it can be applied into their mental state. So I'm, like I said, I'm interested myself. I would like to have a session, and we can
Okay.
talk about that, through email. And
We'll do that off camera. Not a problem.
yes, we'll do that. Okay. Do you have any other questions or any other not concerns, any comments that you would like to make and you would like to share with the audience as well? I do look forward to also having another session to kind of follow up as well. This is with this podcast, I share a lot of what I have going on in my personal life. So I would, after the session, I would like to also share that experience and share it with everyone as well.
Okay. I'm going to leave. I'm a big believer in manifestations and, and,
Mhm.
and, and, and changing mindsets and all that. And hypnosis can help with that also. But I'm
Right,
going to leave your audience with this piece of advice. When you look in the mirror, you should see greatness.
right.
And if you don't see greatness, what I want you to do is close your eyes, take a deep breath, and open your eyes and begin to see the greatness within you, because
Hmm.
it exists in all of us. It's
Right.
just a matter of uncovering it.
Okay. And I'm definitely going to do that as well tonight. I do
Good
believe in
meditation.
myself. I do, but I always, it's words of confidence like that that push me and, allow me to keep going, even through stressful situations. I always look for different ways to continue to push and motivate myself. So I thank you so much for that, Mr. Kemp. Um, Again, it was an honor having you on here. And we are going to talk again because I'm pretty sure that I am going to have a story to be able to share with them. And then more people will be able to open up as well. Okay. But without further ado, we are going to conclude this live tonight. I thank you again, Mr. Kemp, for coming on and
Well,
sharing this experience with us.
it is my
And
pleasure.
if you all have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to him. His name is Mark Kemp. He is a hypnotherapist. He is on my Facebook page. I am going to post the link as well so that you all can go. And if you have any go on his page. And if you have any questions or comments, make sure that you inbox him. He's more than happy and willing to answer any questions that you may have, schedule any sessions that you may need. And we are open to supporting him in what it is that he does. Again, very interesting topic. I never knew as much as I know now about hypnotism. Okay. We thank you all for joining us in this hour. We look forward to speaking with you very soon. I hope you all go about being blessed. And don't forget to pray before you lay. All right. Y'all have a blessed night.
You too. Good night.
All right. Good night, Mr. Kemp.
Good night.